Hi, Colin. Welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast.
Hey, Julia. Glad to be here.
Yes, we're excited to have you. I can't wait for you to dive into your topic of expertise. We've had a little bit of this before on the show, but certainly not a whole lot. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. What I would love to do to get started is, could you share with our listeners what you're currently doing in the health and wellness space, what it is, what kind of clients you work with, kind of what your expertise is?
Right on, yeah. So I offer a lot, so it's kind of a hard question to answer sometimes. But right now, what I'm really passionate about is the physical side of things. But in addition to that, bringing in the IHP and the nutrition and lifestyle coaching. But I do it all together. And so right now, I usually get people in and we do a lot of the assessments, paperwork and physical assessments to see where they are. And then I make a treatment plan based off that. And we'll get more into this later, but just understanding the importance of nutrition and lifestyle and how that affects the physical body, the structural component, and then how that vice versa affects nutrition and lifestyle, and then the interconnectedness between those two, and how I can work with manual therapy techniques or exercise or lab testing to kind of bring someone back to baseline wholeness. So I guess I kind of do it all, but I really love to study right now the anatomy and physiology piece as a neurosomatic therapist. So that's kind of where my attention and studies are right now, but I kind of still use it all together.
Okay, that's great. We'll go back to a few of those pieces. I'm curious if this is kind of something you, studied in college. Was there some sort of aha moment where you were like, this is totally what I wanted to do? Tell us how you kind of arrived at this point.
Yeah, so I love telling this story. I was a hard charger college kid. I was a Division I college wrestler at the University of Minnesota. And if anybody has any familiarity with the sport of wrestling, it is just very go, 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 ignore your body, lose copious amounts of weight in a week because of the weight cutting. And that really runs you down. Like, I'm 100% sure I had adrenal fatigue leaving college. So I had multiple injuries. Diet was not great. I was tired all the time, had no energy. And I was a young guy. I was 22. I should have had all the energy in the world. So I had a lot of injuries too, I should say. So at that point, I started looking for help, right? I wish I could have found an Integrative Health Practitioner or something back then. But luckily, I found a CHEK Practitioner, which I'm also a CHEK Practitioner. So I found one here in Austin, and I moved here just for a summer vacation. And I was just trying to get healthy, and I was trying everything. I tried orthopedic specialists, I tried chiropractor, cryotherapy, acupuncture, and nothing was really helping with my physical ailments, but also my internal environment as well. So it wasn't until I met a mentor, another high-level CHEK practitioner named Alex Rybczynski here in Austin, that he got my hands on me, and he started doing some of the neurosomatic therapy, the massage therapy, essentially, on my body to get me structurally aligned, and then started coaching me through a holistic approach to nutrition and lifestyle, and really learning to take care of my body and be my own health coach. So kind of in a nutshell, pain got me here, and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do in life. But having experienced that, like I'm sure many people in the IHP community, it really inspired me to make that my life devotion, to become a health coach and to take a multidisciplinary approach with people. So I experienced myself, and now I love to live it.
Yes. Yeah. It's, and like you said, it's so common with IHPs, right? Where we all kind of have these, even if it's a little pain to passion story where we've gone through something. Or what I love about this industry is you were inspired by this other CHEK practitioner who was able to help you, and he inspired you to then become like the best version of yourself and a practitioner that now you're probably going to go on to inspire other people to do the same. And it's just kind of this ripple effect where when you find something that gives you hope and brings you some sort of rebalancing in a situation where you just felt so unwell, it's almost like you can't help but to just shout it from the top of a mountain. So
yeah, it's the classic hero's journey. You go through the trials and you come back and you share it with everybody.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Now you've thrown out some super interesting words, which I do have. I do have a more of a personal trainer, physical background to me. So I know a little bit about what a CHEK practitioner or neurosomatic therapist would be. But if we have people listening who are kind of like, well, what does a CHEK practitioner do? Or what's a neurosomatic therapist kind of focusing on? Could you share a little bit with us about kind of what those two entail?
Yeah. And I love it because they go greatly with IHP, which is why I got an IHP later. I wish I would have found about it earlier. But as a CHEK practitioner, if anybody doesn't know who Paul CHEK is, he's like a holistic godfather in the industry. And their program is wonderful. They have a lifestyle coaching, like a nutrition and lifestyle coaching part, which really teaches you the basics on how to coach people through organic food, digestion, detoxification, how to move your body, really how to like eat, move, and be healthy. It's like that's the name of Paul's book, is How to Move and Be Healthy. So the health coaching part is phenomenal. They get really into like toxicities, and the assessments are phenomenal. They assess every organ and gland in the body. So I love that. It's a fantastic program. The lifestyle and holistic health coaching part of it is phenomenal. It can help 95% of people for sure. And then the other side of being a CHEK practitioner is the exercise part, which going through, I said college wrestling, like I only knew how to do hard workouts, kind of CrossFit style. We had phenomenal strength and conditioning coaches, but if you understand the role of like posture and like holistic exercise and corrective exercise, it is super important that we normalize the body and we take into account of the stressors on the body. So what I love about the exercise portion of the CHEK Institute is they make sure all the exercise coaches, we call them integrative movement specialists. They still have some kind of training in allostatic load and to the degree that people are stressed. And we tailor the exercise program based on that. So it's heavily rooted in corrective exercise, orthopedic assessments, right? So an assessment for me takes about 2 to 3 hours at this point in my training, because it's 40 plus orthopedic assessments to see what someone is currently capable of doing. So then we take the findings and we write an exercise program based on also their allostatic load. So we're getting them partially correct. We're meeting their dream. So we're making the program to what their daily activities are. But we're also giving them like what they need based on their stress load, because if we just have them going out and doing like 85% of their 1 RM and above, like that's going to add to stress, right? And that cortisol is going to rise and their joints are going to hurt. They're going to have more inflammation. So it's unlike NASM or AC, where we really take into account the allostatic load and the physiological load someone's going through. So that's kind of the CHEK side of things. I would love to get into neurosomatic too, but do you have any questions on any of that?
No, just that, I mean, when I was personal training, I realized that yes, exercise was helping a lot of people, but like there was only so much, like there was only so far you could go. And I was NASM certified, which is great if you want to take somebody through a workout. And, just kind of put them under load, right? But it's not taking into account so much of what I believe modern day society has put on people as far as stress. Are they sitting all day? And you can assess some of these things as a good personal trainer, but really understanding that kind of central nervous system type of load and like the stress and all of that. I think it's where you bridge the gap, right? That's probably where the gap bridges from just physical exercise to something like IHP, right? Like you just cross over that. Okay, now we're taking into account what amount of stress is the body under and how is that affecting their central nervous system? And how does that then affect what they could withstand for physical activity and so on and so forth. But would you agree?
I 100% agree. Yeah. And because we have, they come together, the CHEK lifestyle coaching, health coaching, and then the IMS stuff. We understand the role of diet and nutrition and how that can like shut off what we call tonic musculature and how that can lead to injuries, right? If you're eating a lot of gluten or eggs, like those big three that Dr. Cabral talks about, cheese, you set yourself up for injuries, right? Paul CHEK says never go squat the day after eating gluten because you're not going to be able to stabilize your core. So we're really big on proper core training, the inner unit. So not just like doing crunches and stuff, and how that affects the posture, and how that posture might lead to like a visceropatosis of like the organs falling out, and how that can cause a somatic viscero, meaning muscle to organ reflex too. So people can have digestive issues based off poor posture as well, just because of like the compressive nature of the body. So I love that they teach us all these things, right? And I was NASM certified too. It's fantastic, but this added to it. Everything I've done adds to the other thing.
Yeah, it's more of this kind of holistic, super in-depth, again, really broad sense of kind of like what it takes to truly be healthy, right? Because I know plenty of people that look like they're in great shape and they're strong. I wouldn't call them the healthiest people I know. And, vice versa. Sometimes I know people who take incredibly good care of their internal system, and they're not, they don't have 6-pack abs, but their posture is absolutely beautiful. And, they sleep amazing. So there's so many things that come into play when we talk about wellness and health. And it's so much more than just looking a certain way or performing a certain way. And that's kind of what I love that they kind of bridge to.
Yeah, and they're phenomenal for that. Yeah, so I can't say anything higher than more highly about them. Like, it's a fantastic program.
Yeah, it's great. Now, how does the neurosomatic therapy tie into it? And tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, I am so passionate about it right now. So I actually just came back from another 2 weeks of trainings. I went down and redid some just to kind of like re-up my skills a little bit. So what's great about neurosomatic therapy, again, it's a very holistic approach to manual therapy like no other. I know we're in a video right now. I wish I could show charts, but what we do is we look at 84 landmarks on the body. We look at the structure of the cranium, shoulders, hips, knees. We do measurements. So there's 84 marks, I would imagine. It looks, for people who are looking, I'm holding a posture chart. So we get people on this posture chart and we look at where they're biomechanically distorted, right? So people have like higher left shoulders, or like an anterior tilt, or like a rotation. And when you understand this, and that posture is such a major energy sapper of ATP in the body, because the muscles take over, that shouldn't be. That energy could be going to the immune system. It could be going to your brain. It could be going to your digestive organs, right? So neurosomatic therapy is all about getting people structurally aligned on horizontal planes if you look at somebody. So there's no postural distortions. So we do that through manual therapy. But they also teach you visceral massage, organ massage, which is phenomenal if you take that into account of the holistic lifestyle, nutrition, IHP stuff. I'll give you an example. We can massage the entire large colon based on if someone's got diarrhea or constipation. And then we can actually close the ileocecal valve through manual therapy techniques. Of course, that's not enough, right? You got to address their diet and nutrition and maybe do some lab testing. But the ability to actually like go and feel the cecum and close that or open it, depending on the person's symptoms, as well as small intestinal massage. Dr. Cabral loves his liver detoxes. Liver massage is phenomenal because we're flushing that liver to those hepatic portals and veins. So they teach you visceral massage, which is phenomenal for maybe having any kind of organ dysfunction. And then I think the greatest thing about them is that they teach you how to work with the cranium and the upper cervical vertebra. So we have all the cranial nerves, right? And everyone talks about the vagus nerve. And everyone would like to take HCl supplements or digestive enzymes, which works 99% of the time. But what if that one person who doesn't respond to them, their atlas, which is the most top vertebra in the spine, if anybody wants to go look this up, is twisted or moved to the side or tilted? 7 out of those 12 cranial nerves, the last 7 or last 6, including the vagus nerve, could be compressed. So they really teach you about the importance of upper cervical health. And we don't adjust. We massage and correct those vertebra. And then we look at the cranium too. Like, what's going on with the skull? Because if the cranium's all distorted, it's going to cause a lot of intracranial pressure, talking headaches, we're talking vision problems, we're talking TMJ, really any kind of autonomic nervous system dysfunction because of the cranial nerves and where they come out of the skull and what's going on in the skull can also be affected by structural work like neurosomatic therapy. So I know that was a lot, but that's kind of just talking about like what they train people in and why it's so powerful in conjunction with like an IHP lab testing or like an exercise program.
Yes. Yeah. Because again, I think with modern day society, so many people have some sort of stress, right? And like we see it go to like this dysautonomic state so often. And, you know, how do you get somebody out of fight or flight? And sometimes it is structural. I've actually recommended many clients who like the supplements aren't working, the nutrition isn't, you know, the sleep isn't better because I can tell that there's some sort of orthopedic, some sort of physical issue that's maybe causing a disrupted airway. And then they're not getting deep enough sleep and they're not getting good oxygen while they sleep, or there's some sort of compression that's causing a ton of that stress on their central nervous system. And you can't move somebody out of fight or flight with adrenal soothe if there's, you know, compression or some sort of postural issue that's causing, you know, sleep apnea while they're sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. And sleep apnea is one of those things we work with, but like you're saying, everything is driving that afferent information to the spinal cord, right? And causing what was called central sensitization, right? It's going to keep that person in a flightened state. It's going to keep their pain threshold up. So yeah, just looking at everything, right? And like you said, like some people don't always respond to supplements. So let's look at the structure, let's look at their exercise program too, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And it allows you to be, you know, holistically minded, because maybe somebody's posture looks great and they do need the adrenal soothe, you know, and you're able to kind of know, okay, this all checks out fine. And we can rule out all of these issues. So we'll kind of go here, or no, we, you know, rule in orthopedic type of issues. And now we need to start with this before we move on. Yeah, it's so much information that you're able to assess and properly then come up with a plan moving forward.
Right. Yeah. And Paul Chek always says, like, if you're not assessing, you're guessing, right? I think Cabral says something similar to that, but, you know, people love to use like their intuition for a lot of things, but I love that everything I've done, IHP, CHEK, neurosomatic, it blends a great combination of subjective data and objective data, lab testing, postural charts, but also like subjective symptoms as well. So it's really just being thorough with my assessments, whether it be objective or subjective, and really making the best treatment plan for the client, whatever that means for them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dr. Cabral saying is test, don't guess. And yeah, there's so many times where, you know, the testing, it reveals exactly what you need to do. And people can waste so much time, money, energy, you name it, just like jumping from one thing to the next, because the information out there is so saturated. I mean, if you Google your symptom, 100 things are going to come up, what it could possibly be. Maybe it's a hormone imbalance. Maybe it's a gut-based issue. Maybe it's this. And so when you're not assessing or testing, you're wasting a whole lot of time, in my opinion. So I have a question, which I'm kind of curious about, as far as, is this information that you wish you knew now without regret, take regret out of it? Because, right, I believe that going through life without much regret is a good thing. But do you wish you knew a lot of this when you were wrestling? Do you feel like it would have changed some of either your performance, how you felt?
100%, yes. Because there's so many, like, we'll just talk about the nutrition part. I mean, to know how to eat right for your body and your type, and the importance of organic food and how that can, you know, affect everything from your digestion, like weight gain, inflammation. I mean, that alone would have been huge. And I kind of took that route maybe my third year in college. Having the ability to do some kind of lab testing, that would have been phenomenal for wrestlers. I mean, they suffer a lot from fungal and other issues like that, and digestive issues too. Because I mean, after a weigh-in, I mean, all athletes do this, right? They just like shove food down their throat, you know, before a competition and after a competition. And the dining hall food. I mean, this information is really powerful, and I think would benefit any sports facility, any kind of athletic department around the country to have like a, an IHP working with a sports team, or to have like a structural integrationist, some kind of manual therapist working with the team. It's performance enhancing. So yeah, I really wish I would have known this, but I have no regrets. I loved it because I had to go through that to learn this stuff, right? I had to go through that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because had it just been handed to you, maybe in the locker room, you wouldn't have gotten to the point where you did, where it became that you need to see your own practitioner. And so you're right. Yeah. That it all unfolded exactly how it was supposed to. I work with a few ex-professional athletes, football players, linemen who played at top notch. Actually, one of them was at Michigan, was a football player. He played with Tom Brady. And the truth is that the fact that these even Division I, so fine, maybe Division III schools aren't doing this, but Division I colleges aren't putting more emphasis on true health of their athletes is so surprising to me, because like you said, it's performance enhancing. I guess if you want to just get a lineman big, right, there's very few ways to do that. So you're going to just like get him big. But it's so interesting that it hasn't taken to higher heights, I think, at this point, because there's that information out there, and it would benefit so many of these, quite frankly, still developing athletes who could use the conditioning understanding, whether it be the physical, more orthopedic understanding, or just how to simply fuel their bodies better. I think it's probably a huge gap, and it's so surprising that it's happening at a Division I level.
Yeah, it really is. And I think there's going to be a time and change for it. There's people like Tom Brady, for example, talking about his diet and the importance of organic food. But I mean, there's so much invested in it, right? Gatorade and Pepsi and all that. So I hope to see it change. One of my earlier dreams was to actually go back to the University of Minnesota, where I was an athlete, and potentially talk to him about this stuff and offer this stuff. Because actually one of the assistant coach here loves Dr. Cabral. So we've talked about it a couple of times, but I hope to see, maybe I can be a voice of change for that someday, but I hope to see the change come to athletics soon.
Yes. Yeah. That's so amazing. You bring up a great point, which is that there's money driving an industry, right? Like Pepsi probably pays schools to have the Pepsi products in dining halls versus, Coke. I'm sure they bid for who's going to be in the dining hall. And like you said, it's industries, right, that are multi-billion-dollar industries that it's kind of hard to just be like, oh yeah, we're not going to keep, soda or Gatorade in the locker room anymore. We're just going to use, these natural drinks or whatnot. So yeah, it's such a good point. It's a big it's all obvious data to us and obvious information that would help. But I think, yes, it's good to understand that there's a bigger industry issue at play for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see where it takes us, but hopefully we see some change.
Yes. Yeah. My money's on you. I think you should go back to the University of Minnesota.
That's cold. It's too cold.
Too cold. No, well, just to talk to them. You don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
So as far as you obviously are a huge believer in the CHEK method and all of that, do you have, if somebody's listening, right, and they're like, wow, this sounds so interesting, I don't know if I can go do these certifications right now, do you have books or podcasts that elaborate on this stuff that you really love that could serve as resources for somebody who wants to just kind of get their feet wet with some of this information?
Yeah, sure. So Paul's podcast can be pretty heavy. It's very interesting. There's a lot of topics from the physical to mental to emotional to spiritual. But his book, How to Eat, Move, Be Healthy, is a fantastic starter for anybody. How to Eat, Move, Be Healthy by Paul CHEK. It's a phenomenal book. It gets into sections of what you are. You are what you eat. You are when you eat. It gets into circadian rhythm, detoxification a little bit. So I love that book. I like Ben Greenfield's kind of more well-rounded books too. And then of course, the Rainbow Effect too. I mean, I would hope everyone here has read that book. Yeah. Structurally, when it comes to exercise, I don't have any books out there to recommend because they're all great. I like Supple Leopard, I guess. Really take any kind of exercise book that might teach you how to manage your body. It isn't just about killing yourself in the gym every day. So perhaps Kelly Starrett's Supple Leopard or Aaron Horschig's Rebuilding Milo. But Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for the exercise portion, but
no, those are all great suggestions. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. No, those are all great. So if someone's listening and you kind of had, like, I'm curious if you have you have so many things that you are an expert in and you're so knowledgeable in. What is kind of your number one thing that you bring to, like, your favorite thing, or every time you get in front of a new client, are you kind of like heightened on assessing? Like, do you believe that there's one thing that drives, yeah, you're nodding. So my guess is you have an answer. Go ahead.
I was just nodding because, like, yeah, it's for the CHEK. I mean, I know where I would start working with a client, but for my CHEK approach, and I think Cabral would probably agree, is what's their motivation? We call it their one dream, right? So their North Star. And what that looks like, it's not just a goal, right? We define it as something that you want to grow into, something that you transcend and include into your whole being, right? So it's not like I want to run a marathon or I want to lose body fat. Like that's a goal. It's something that you want to become. So that's the first thing I do with everybody, whether it's massage therapy or the neurosomatic therapy or a CHEK program or lifestyle coaching. It's, what's your overall arching purpose to be here right now? So that's always the first thing I assess, not posture or their cranium, just what's their dream, right?
Yeah. And it tells you a lot about where their mindset is at. And mindset is so huge, whether we're talking about healing ourselves or getting results, or no matter what we're trying to achieve, mindset is a huge driver and a huge foundation of that. So I absolutely love that. You said that's a CHEK practitioner thing?
Yeah, it's what's their dream? Their one love is also what we call it.
One love. Okay. And do you find that when patients are answering the question that they get it? I feel like this is like speaking my language for sure. But do you find that people are like, what do you mean it's Tuesday afternoon? Like, what do you mean? What's my one dream? Like, I want my body to feel better. Or do you feel like people are able to like really step into like the true meaning of the question?
So that's an hour-long session itself sometimes, because people are like, what does this mean? Okay. Right? Because it's very telling what that person writes down initially. If they say, I want to get healthier for my family, I want to get healthier for my wife, or I want to do this for somebody else. The way we are taught, and I think this is definitely true, is that you can't serve another person to the degree that you can't serve yourself, or you can't take care of yourself, right? It's the whole adage of pouring from a full cup, right? So if someone's dream is not in the formation of I, we, all, in the sense that yourself has to come first, and it's not selfishness. I always tell people it's sacred selflessness. It's being selfless, right? Because you want to show up 100% for people. So that dream isn't in that kind of let's get myself healthier first so I can be the best person for my significant other, and then the whole community. That's very telling. And then also when I look at that dream, it's what's the language, or what's the tone of like the words, right? Is this something that they before? Is this a story they're telling themselves that is limiting? Sometimes we don't have one right now, but when they don't have one right away, and we look at their nightmare, right? That's the polar opposite of a dream. So sometimes if someone can't figure out their dream right away, we just ask them, like, what's your nightmare? What do you not want to happen? Right. And then we'll take it from there, and then we'll probably develop into a dream. And sometimes people develop their dream maybe 1, 2, 3 sessions in, but once you get that dream, we have a dream statement, and I make everyone like put it somewhere where they can see it every day and read it 7 times a day. So that's kind of like the whole process, but it takes for me working, and some people don't have one right away. But we always get to the basis of their dream. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So that was exactly what I was trying to kind of see if, again, it could be an hour-long conversation. If it's somebody who's done a lot of this work already, they may be able to kind of give you an answer in 10 minutes, or it might take, 3 weeks of working together. But I love that part of the assessment, because again, mindset essentially tells you where's the person at with just their ability maybe to dream. And like you said, to put themselves before, like, I think it's definitely a societal thing again, where we're taught to like take care of ourselves for something else. Well, how about we just take care of ourselves for ourselves? There's a Calvin and Hobbes comic that I absolutely love. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No, I don't, but I just love the fact that it's Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes. So it's, I believe it's Calvin and Hobbes. I'm almost positive. And they're talking to each other. And one says, I'll take care of me for you if you take care of you for me. And like, it's essentially like I'm taking care of myself rather than trying to take care of you, and making it about your own health so that you're able to show up better for everybody else around you. Like there's no greater gift to change your internal, being, than for how you're going to show up for your family, for your friends, for your community, at work, all of that. But ultimately for your own well-being and happiness.
Yeah, what you do for yourself, you do for the all. Like it's that butterfly effect. I think you mentioned earlier, you might have said that, but and if someone, can't get that idea around their head, that's something like later down coaching that we look at. It's that, do you deserve to take care of yourself? Do you deserve to love yourself? Right. So these are all questions and assessments we do too. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say you love yourself? Do you honestly love yourself? And they're heavy topics, but it's important to, teach somebody to become their own coach and to be their own parent and love themselves as much as possible, which includes eating good food, getting good sleep, taking care of the body. Right. Yes. But starts with that dream.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I share on my Instagram page all the time how I basically so I was not taking care of myself at all. I was in, poor health, and it wasn't that I got healthy by eating better food or stopping like binging behaviors or like changed all of my habits. I actually worked on why I was sabotaging and treating myself so poorly, quite frankly, how I would never treat somebody else, and got to the base of like, why do I not feel good enough? The second that changed and I actually believed that I deserved as much of the good in the world as anybody else did, all those habits just melted away. I didn't have to start changing any of them. I just started acting different because I truly began to love myself in a different way. And so many people struggle with like, how do you just stop eating after, dinner, or like I'm binging on this or that. And sometimes those habits are just so ingrained in our deep belief system that it's not until that belief shifts that we end up getting some sort of a habit change in our daily lives.
Yeah. And it's hard to acknowledge those things sometimes because we have these stories, right? These stories, and we identify these stories of, I'm just a binge eater, or I'm just a back pain patient. Or I'm going to be stuck not being able to exercise how I want to. And so it's taking that out of the literal, and changing it to a metaphorical sense. Like, what does that mean to you? And then creating a new story around that. Right. So, and that's where you just have to meet clients where they're at. You be patient with them.
Yeah. You sound like you're an amazing practitioner. If listeners are wanting to kind of find out more, do you have a social media place where they can find you, a website, or any of that you want to share?
Yeah, I'm trying to be more active on social media. It's Colin Carr Coaching. So I've been posting a lot of physical stuff on there. I've posted some stuff on nonviolent communication, something I'm passionate about. My website is also www.colincarcoaching.com. Trying to be more active. I might do some lives here pretty soon. I have some other podcasts that if anyone wants to listen to. But yeah, I hope that's helped. I want to be a service to you guys.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this I think was so informative, so enlightening. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for being a guest on the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. And we'll be looking forward to being in touch soon.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Thanks, Colin. Take care.
You too.